So today is the part 2 of creating a blog in PHP. In part 1 we have been able to create some insert pages as well as we are showing some content from the database. So lastly what we did was we added a form for add article, and also we have included some headers and footers for the main index.html template. So here we are including header, then based on the URL parameter for page we are adding that page, otherwise we are by default adding home.php. So we'll be improving whatever we did in the first part, as well as creating login and registration system, and we'll be studying session as well. So let's dive in. Right now, one thing I forgot in the first part, we are using includes. So if I access header.php, how can I do it? For example, if I'll go to the URL, this is the website URL / we have includes folder and then header.php. So this is that header.php which we can access. That header.php was only meant to be included in the index.php, like here we are just including it in the header.php. We should not be individually accessing header.php. So in this case what we can do is we will create a file, web server file. It is used for Apache settings. So for example, we are in the includes directory and I don't want to access anything from this directory in the browser like we are doing here. Site name /include /header.php. So I'm not going to let my web server access these included files directly. For this purpose we will create one file inside the includes, and that is known as .htaccess. Okay, and in it we will just write this line, deny from all. That's it. Let me just double check. Yes, deny from all. So it won't let, hopefully if it is working, it won't let me access these files directly. So if I refresh the page, it now says forbidden. You don't have permission to access this resource. So all the included files or whatever files which you are including or you have for some other purposes and you don't want them to be accessed directly, that's the way how to do it. Okay, you will have to create a .htaccess file and just add these three words. That's a .htaccess file. So deny from all. Got it? This is one improvement we need to make. Okay, now let us go back to add article.php, and if you remember we can directly access it as well. So for example, add article.php, and this is that form. Okay, but we don't want to access it directly. What we had done, if you remember, to make any page included in the template, so it was we are including all the pages via index.php. So the syntax is index.php (page is equal to add article). So index.php has all the includes, and in the content we are adding this. Now this is part of the index.php. This is the same page, but now it is being included inside the index.php so that it is in the template. Okay, so we have to do it like this. Now here we completed this form. If we enter another article, this is new article, this is new description, right? And the status of it is published, and we will submit the article. So we are able to submit the form, and if you go to the database, we are able to see the new record. This is the articles table, so this is the new record. Okay, so here we have to move forward from here now. One thing, we still can enter this form without, if I leave title empty or this empty, still we are able to submit the form. So that is what we are going to control now, and that is known as validation. And for validations, this is known as server side validation. If even you have validation in JavaScript, your JavaScript can be disabled on the client machine, and then that code won't be working. So you need to have validation on server side as well, so that no data is tampered. Okay, so the code actually was, if is set server request method is equal to post. What does this mean? This means that the form has been submitted, and we have and the method is post. Now here we want to have if any of these values are left, we need to create an array first. So let's do it now. Maybe here even without it, errors is equal to an empty array like this. Okay, so if is set post title, the title is going to be this. But if it is empty for some reasons, what we can do is okay, there is some difference between setting and empty. Okay, what's that difference? Let me just first print _r $_post once we submit the form. Okay, so for example, if I submit the form, though the values are empty, but the variables have been set. So title is set, description is set. Okay, they are set, but they are empty at the moment. So these are two separate things. A variable can be set but empty. Okay, so we are checking for the setting of variables here, but not the empty one. So if is set this, here we can use the errors, another if also, if this. Okay, so if $, post title is equal to empty string like this, it means this is set, but now the title is empty. So what we need to do, we will populate the error array like this, is equal to, and here we will add some message. Okay, so if it is empty, we will please enter title of the article. So this is now, if it is empty, we will add one value to the errors array. This is errors. Okay, this is in JavaScript we would do something like .push to add value to the array. Here we can use just these two square brackets, and this value will be entered into the array. Similarly, let me copy this quickly for description. So if description is equal to empty, please enter description of the article, right? And similarly, if the status has not been selected, we will say please select status of the article. So these are now, if all of these are left empty, this array will have how many values? 3. Okay. Okay, we if you remember, we had created a variable insert which is false, a boolean variable, and we are directly doing everything now like this. But we will only do this insertion in the database once this variable is true. This variable is true. So let us close it in if statement. If insert $insert is equal to true, we can use this, but if you don't, it also means this. So if insert, it means if the insert value is true, then the code, we need to copy all this. So the database insertion will only happen if this variable is true, and by default I have made it false. Okay, so do you think this will, if I submit the form now, even if it has values, will it run this code?
No, sir.
Why? Because by default the insert is false. So for with some logic,
Yes, sir.
I need to make insert true, and only then can that database. So how can insert be made true, Shabas? This is question for you. When should this insert be true?
All the fields are filled.
Filled. Very good. And if all the fields are filled, do you think there will be values in these arrays?
No, sir.
No, it will be empty.
Yes, sir. If count error is equal to 0, then
Exactly. So
we will
if
have to
$count,
change the
count
true.
count is a function, okay,
Yes, sir.
and the errors is the
Errors is equal to true.
count errors is equal to
0.
0.
Then change the insert to
Then we will make insert into
true.
is equal to true. It means if this happens, and this will only happen if array has no errors in it.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then insert becomes true, and then it will, if insert is true, then the code for database will run. So it means it will not enter any blank values into the database until and unless the errors are empty. Okay. Now if in case we have errors, so we need to display those errors here above the form. For that we can open PHP tag, and let us do it that other way of opening. So if count errors if count $errors is greater than 0 and 2 colon, this is the opening. We have to have one more also. So if count of errors is greater than 0 means there are errors in the page. And now I will close if first, close and if and semicolon. Okay, so whatever comes inside this will be the if block. Okay, so we can start ul is equal to this, any class is equal to text dash red dash 500. Will it work? If this is the appropriate tailwind class, so it hopefully will be working. Okay, so ul class is equal to this, then we need to have allies, but allies have to be inside a loop, the errors, because we are looping through the errors. Yeah, so here again we need to start question mark PHP tag, and here we need to close PHP, and in between here it is going to be a for each $sign errors as error. Okay, for each $errors as error, and here it will be end for each, and in between this will be loop through. Okay, so each time the iteration will have error as its value, so we need to print error here. Question mark PHP, and what's the shortcut? It's like this. Okay, so here no need to echo because this is the echo as well, so error, that's it. Okay, we are going to use, why is it giving us an error?
Sir, the 0 and greater than sign should be outside the square.
Like this, if count error,
Remove them. Yes, sir.
good, thank you. Okay, so if count error is greater than 0, it means there are errors in the array, so then we are going to loop through it, and the looping comes here in case of LIs only. Okay, do you think we will need this for all the forms, the errors?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let us quickly create a function somewhere, maybe in includes we should create a file called in includes directory, new file, we will call it functions.php. okay, in functions.php these are for your utility functions or maybe something. So output function output function output, sorry, first you will have to PHP tags. Okay, function name is output arrays with class name. Okay, it will have the first parameter as $sign array, whatever it is, or maybe we call it A, and the second parameter is B. We will also study what doc blocks are, but for now that's fine. Okay, so the first parameter is an array and the second one is going to be the class name. Okay, or let us make it class and let us make it array so that you can understand. Okay, so the first parameter will be array, the second will be class. Okay, so let me quickly copy the code there, this one, and go to functions. Okay, we will make it into print ul this, and then we have, because we already are in the PHP loop, so we don't need these closing tags, just like brackets like this, and we will print LIs inside it. This is the last closing UL. Okay, so we are printing the UL also, and now we will loop through the array. So this is that array, whatever is passed. So in case of this, it is arrays as array element for each arrays. Okay, it is, yes, this is array as array element. Okay, so simple. Now we need to print li, so print li, and then what should we print? Concatenation and the array element, and then again concatenation, and then the closing li. Okay, and the semicolon. Okay, so this is now a function. It will pass an array, and we are looping through that array and printing the li's and the array element. But this class is the second parameter, so we need to make this also dynamic, this one, so that the class name is also dynamic. So maybe if there is some array with better messages, so the class will be green, but these are errors, so the class is going to be, so we will make it like this, dot, again dot, and here we will print the class like this. Okay, so whatever is the class name, it will be printed on the ULs, and then we are looping through the array and it will be outputting this. So this is now a function, and it has been defined in functions.php. What if I include it in add article? So because I need it here, we will make it require or include is fine, includes slash functions.php. So now this function is available here, right? What change do I need to make here?
Just call the function.
Good. Here we will just call the function in this PHP tag. So the function is what's the name of the function? Output array with class. So here we will call output. Sorry.
So we don't have any condition for that. If count error is greater than 0, then run this function.
Yes, this is very good point. Should we do it in the functions? Yes, I think. So we can enclose it here. Everything inside this. If so, move all this code inside the if statement like this, and here we will say count array is greater than 0. It means it has values. Got it?
Yes.
Thank you for this. So now we just need to call this function with the errors as. We just need to call this function, and we have the errors array, as well as it expects a second parameter which is the class name. So what is that? Text dash red dash 500. This is a relevant class. Okay, it's fine. Now let me check if things are fine. We will submit the form. This is the form. Sorry, what it is, question mark, page is equal to add article. Okay, if I submit article without anything, so it's showing me all the errors. It means it is working fine. If I just add the title, do you expect 2 values now or 3?
2.
Now it's 2. Okay. The power of this second parameter is to the function. If in case this is a good news, so it will be text dash green dash 5. We just need to change the parameter in here, and for example, if I submit it now, it's green. Okay, but we will, as these are errors, so we will keep it as this. Okay, now there is one more thing. For this, these are just 3 elements in the form. These are just 3 elements in the form. Okay, but for example, I have 100 of values, 100 of fields in a form, and I have submitted a form and entered. So if there are errors, these are lost here. For example, I have typed something. This is the description. Okay, and this is the title. I have filled the form. Okay, but for some reason there is an error. So if I'm not selecting the status, otherwise form will be submitted hopefully. So I just submit it. It says the status is, please select the status of the article here. Okay, but those title and description, I will have to add those again. It is very cumbersome to refill the form in case of errors. So how can we tackle so that if there are errors, the older values are still there and I don't have to retype all that? So you might know that in each input of HTML we can give a value attribute. Value is equal to, say, hello. This is HTML, not PHP. Okay, hello. So what do you expect if the form is loaded? the title will have a hello there. Okay, if in description I also add value is equal to description, for example, or whatever. So now you can see, sorry, it's in the middle of the text area, not here. The text area doesn't have a value. What you do is you here you use the something, whatever, between the two text area opening and closing. So if I refresh the page, you can see the value actually is inside the text. In for text area it is that. So what do you deduce from it? What should we do here so that the values are preserved in case of errors?
Set the values.
Yeah, because form has been submitted here, and I had purposely set it to empty by default, but if the form is submitted, then title becomes that value. So what we can do, this title we can print inside here in the values. Okay, so here we will open the PHP tags. When will be title available? When the post has been submitted. So print title, $title, and a semicolon. Similarly, in between the text area, what I will print? Description. Okay, let's try now. Cricket match on TV, for example. This is the detail of cricket, whatever. Okay, now I'm not going to select the status so that I have some error. Okay, if I submit article, so there are errors in the, this is the error, but those values are still there. Why? Because post has those values now,
Yes, sir.
and those are redisplayed on the form.
Yes, sir.
Earlier they were lost. So what you need to do, you should have these output as inside the value tag in inputs. Is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now let us create some articles. Lorem ipsum. One thing we missed, we also need to have this value selected too. For example, if the form, there are errors and I have selected published, it should have the published value too. Let me leave the title now. Okay, so if I submit the article, there is, the title is empty, and I had selected the status, but it again says please select status.
Yes, sir.
This is the default because the form has been regenerated on the server. So how can we do that? So simple. This is the value. So whatever is by default, if you, for example, make it selected like this, by default 1. So what is selected? Published. If I make the other one selected, so this is just a attribute. If I make the unpublished selected, the default will be unpublished. This is all HTML, not PHP. But now in PHP, whatever is the variable value, sorry, this status is right now empty, right? But if the form is submitted, here the status value is that. So here we can have something like we need with some logic we need to show either selected with 1 or with 0. Okay, so let me, how can we do it? If the value is selected or For example, let me just echo selected like this, okay? And similarly I will make it selected like this, but it has to be in some if condition. Whatever is the value, in the post we should only display selected with that particular value only. So let us create some logic for that. Where should we display it? Okay, so simple if status is equal to 1. So what you need to do, echo selected like this. And similarly if $sign status is equal to 0, then echo selected, right? Let me try. If it is published and I submit the article, so it remains published. If I select unpublished and submit the article, it remains unpublished. Got it? And if I submit, this is a new article on cricket, and let me copy some text. So now hopefully there are no errors. If there are no errors on this server in our code, submit article, so the article gets submitted, but there seems to be some, this is okay. And if we check it in the database, this is new article on cricket, and that's what we submitted now. Okay, so we can now add more articles into, and you can see earlier we were not validating things, so here the text is empty, the sixth record, right? Okay, what else can we do to improve this code? For example, once we have submitted the article, we should go to some other page. Thank you very much, your article is submitted, or that one, right? So for example, let us quickly create another page, and we will call it thank you.php. Okay, this is the thank you page, and the PHP will have this opening tag because we intend to just write PHP in it, and print thank you very much, your article has been submitted, here is the link to this article. That's what we want to make dynamic, but for now just we'll make it a simple message. Thank you very much, your article has been submitted. And this in here in our code, in article, add article.php, at the end of the page where the insert happens, if insert, and then this. Okay, so here at the end of the page, what we can do is, there is a function in PHP known as header, and then we'll choose location, location, and the page name is thank you dot php, something like this, and let me just quickly check if I am not missing any semicolons. PHP header function. Yes, I am missing this header redirect. Yes, we just need to add a colon here. Okay, so header location thank you.php. Now if the values are submitted successfully, what it will do? It will redirect you to thank you.php. So let us try it again. This is a new page. This is article on hockey, and this is the text should be published and submit article. So once the form is submitted, it has redirected you to what? Thank you.php. But in our website, the thank you page should not be visible like this. It should be inside the theme we have created yesterday. So what change do we need to make? Index.php question mark page is equal to thank you. Yeah, so the header should be index.php question mark page is equal to thank you, like this. So let us create another article. This is another one, and the article should be, why are we seeing status unpublished by default? Any guesses?
So you selected.
Because by default in HTML we have selected unpublished, so we will make that change in a while. Submit it. So now if you can see, page is equal to, are there any errors or what? Oh yes. Okay, this is a common error which you will be encountering, but for now, one thing we need to make sure, we should not be printing the array values. Where are they? We were dumping array somewhere in this code. Okay, this is it. Also in the code in thank you.php, we have some empty space here. Maybe if it has an effect. And in article.php, okay, so let us try it again. And also we need to fix the add article published, because okay, so status is 00 by default. Maybe it is taking it as this, status is this. Okay, now this is article on badminton, this, and publish. So now we are successfully going to thank you very much, your article has been submitted. Here is the link to the article. That's my question now. I need to make it a link, but which link? The link to the article which has just been submitted.
Yes.
Link to the article which has just been submitted. So how can we do it? Any guesses?
Make it anchor.
Anchored. But how can we get the ID of the? So let us quickly do this as well. In add article.php we have all this. there is a function query last insert id. Let me just confirm it. It is last insert id. Okay, so we will, the PDO has a method loss insert id. So whatever is the insert, whatever record you insert, for example, right now we have the last id is 7. Okay, so if the insert query submits another article which has 8 id, so it will have that value. If it is 100, it will have that value. Okay, so let me just assign it to a variable here. Last id is equal to this. Okay, and page is equal to thank you, and let us add another parameter here like this, and id is equal to what? Dollar sign last id. Okay, so now we are sending page is equal to thank you. We are sending the request redirection to index.php question mark page is equal to thank you, and an extra information as well, which is the id, so that we know which id was inserted. Will this run, or we need to have some concatenation? I think it will run because it is in double quotes. Okay, so let us try another article now. Page is equal to add article. This is after insert id. Please select status. So status is published, and this. So can you see the URL? If I just copy to the editor, so it has now page is equal to thank you and id is equal to 11. Now I have a question of all you guys. How can I make it a link to that article? Do you remember the article.php page? We had an article.php page. Let me just open it, and the id right now is 11. Okay, articles.php, these were all the articles, but if I click on any of them, the article page is this. What does this mean? This is that article which was created. Question mark id is equal to 7. Articles.php question mark id is equal to, this is that link which we need to do. So articles.php, if you go to PHP thank you page, this is the thank you page. Thank you very much, your article has been submitted. Here is the link to the article. So I need to make this an ahref like this. Okay, and href is going to be something like this, and let us enclose it in single quotes so that we don't need to escape it. Okay, so the value will be some id here, article.php question mark id is equal to this. But where is this id coming from now?
We are
Getting.
Getting.
Because we have sent it to the thank you page and there is an id now. So id is equal to dollar sign dollar underscore get, and that is the id which is coming in the url id like this. Okay, so now it is going to be a dynamic page, but we need to do some concatenation first. So up to here we should enclose it, then dot, and then dot, and start it again like this. As I said, I related concatenation with the driving. Once you are used to it, it will be automatic for you, but we still need to do something. Thank you very much. What are we missing? Any idea? Dot dollar sign. It's dollar sign, not id dot. We are missing the closing this. Okay, so it's fine now. Now this is going to be a link, and the link will have a dynamic value which we are getting in the question mark. So if I go to article again, index.php, add article. This article is after adding insert id. And submit. So thank you very much, your article has been submitted, and this should be a link, but it is not working. Had we saved it, thank you very much, your article has been submitted. Ahref link to the article and a. Maybe in such situations you can check why is it not working. So maybe if I submit it, article has a link to this
ID is coming 12.
It's okay, but maybe we are okay, we are not closing this closing, so it should be here. Now let me add another one. Publish and submit. Now what are you expecting? The id should be 13,
Yes.
and now it is a link here. You can see even in the lower bottom left corner you will be seeing the
Yes, sir.
13. If I click on it, and this is that article now which we just submitted. So all of this is now dynamic. You have sent the user after submitting the article to a thank you page, and there is a dynamic link to that
Yes, sir. Page.
link, and that's all for this. We are not doing any function for some security stuff for this, but you should do it yourself. Maybe you need to enclose it in HTML special cars like this, so that no script tags and all that is output on the page, something like this. Okay, so after the break, inshallah, we will continue the class. Okay, welcome after the break. So now in the second part of this lecture we will be creating a login system for the site. But before login, let us discuss something which is known as, if we go to Google, HTTP is stateless protocol. HTTP is stateless protocol. So what does this mean? For example, if you are accessing, if I go to cnn.com and if I click on a lot of links, CNN server doesn't know that this is me. Each individual request is a different request for the web server. Okay, so for example, if I click on this or this link or whatever, CNN server doesn't know that it is me clicking all these links. There has to be a mechanism. So since HTTP is stateless protocol, that's why there has to be a mechanism where the server needs to know that the second request which somebody has sent is the one who was accessing the site previously. So for that very purpose, there is a concept called sessions in each language, user sessions. Okay, sessions. So let me just open a file here, new file, and I will call it session. Session.php. Okay, sessions.php. Here we will write some PHP code now. So actually sessions is on the server. If I run this code in PHP, if you have to use sessions at the start of a page, you will use session_start. Okay, session_start. But before running this page, if I open this home page, for example, inspect, or let us comment this line first so that you understand what is happening. If I access sessions.php, this is just a blank page for now. So if I inspect application, cookies, okay, so this page currently has no cookies. Cookies is some information which is sent from the server, and browser displays it inside a file. Browser keeps those inside a file, that information, and which we can access them. There can be cookies created by JavaScript also, but for example, some server-side language can also send you information which is stored in that server's cookies. So right now there is nothing here. But if I write this code session_start in sessions.php and refresh the page, okay, and if I come to cookies, now you can see there is this session. This is name is PHP session ID. Okay, so it was not previously in the list of cookies. Rather, if I delete it again, if I delete it manually, maybe okay, that cookie has been deleted. Right now we don't have any cookie. But if I refresh the page again, the sessions.php, so you can see now there is a cookie. Our server sent this cookie to our browser, and our browser now displays it. Okay, and on the server it has created a file with this ID, something like this, php_something. If you go to your web server temp directory, you can see that file there. So now on the server there is a file with the same ID, and on the client in the browser this is this information. Now if I resend a request again, for example, if I refresh the sessions.php initially, now the browser will know that, oh, this request has come from this session. Okay, so now that stateless protocol is stateful protocol. Now the browser knows, the server knows that, okay, this request is from this session, that person. So it actually is two things. The server creates a text file on the server and sends its name to the browser as a cookie, and then you can place values in that. Okay, so for example, in the first line should be session underscore start. Wherever you have to use sessions in PHP, you have to use this line of code. Next, just like $_post and $_get, there is a super global called $_session. Okay, this is a super global array, so you can store values in it. For example, if I store a value logged in or is logged in is a boolean value, for example. So just like any associative array, you can save this information in this session array. So I will, for now, for example, make it true. So what does this mean? That now the session has a key. Even we can have $session user underscore ID, for example, is equal to 10 or something like this. So now the session variable has access to these two pieces of information, is logged in and user ID, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now for example, and the username is, for example, $_session user underscore name is equal to Mr. Martin. Now this session array has 3 values. Okay, if I refresh it, nothing like this, but for example, now this has been set up on sessions.php, and this is one of the ways to access variables from one page to another if you keep them in sessions. If you want to access a variable, say in index.php, which has been defined in sessions.php, so one of the ways is we can send values via query parameter or from form in the form of post, but in sessions you can access those there as well. So for example, if I want to display welcome Mr. Martin, so what should I do? In index.php, at the top of the page, for example, I need to here, maybe somewhere on the, even in the sidebar here, if I need to display the session username. Okay, so in PHP I can easily access print $_session, because we have already placed that information there. So what it will be? User underscore name. PHP underscore session user underscore name, and if I go to just confirm it, if it, yes, it is user underscore name. Okay, so in index.php I need to print $session user underscore, but where if you have to use session variables on other pages, so you always have to, at the top of the page, run session underscore start. This is must. If you need to display session information on a page, you must start that page with session underscore start. So now that variable will be available here also. Okay, if I just open index.php, So in the sidebar we can expect sessions.php, sorry, index.php. Okay, we where is it, this, because we are using
Yes, sir.
home page for that section.
Yes, sir.
So let us do that in the home page, not here. I will cut it. And in home page.php, where is home page? Is in the includes, okay,
Yes, sir.
here. So for example, here I need to display that session information. So question mark PHP. What should I do first?
Start session.
Session start. Session underscore start. But as we are including it already, so maybe if we do this session underscore start in index.php, that will be working too. It's not important then to use this on every included page.
Yes, sir.
But still, if I come to the maybe welcome to our blog, so this page will be here. I need to display it. So welcome. Here I will, or rather just paste it from there. Print session user underscore name. Okay, because I need to use the user underscore name variable in the sessions on this page. So hopefully now if I go to home page, what it is showing, Mr. Martin. Okay, so this is now, and this is a common error you will see. We will fix it later on, but for now at least you are able to
Getting the data for the session.
yes, so we are able to read data from sessions. Now if this session is not here, for example, if I if this session is not here, so it will say undefined indexed. Okay, so we can use if statement to print it. So how can we do it? If okay, so probably if the session is not set, it will then throw some error or notice. So let us do the same technique of null coalescing operator. So if it is set and it is there, it will be displaying welcome this, otherwise it will display guest. So now if we go to the home page, because session we already have set up the session, so it's showing that value in the session. One thing, a session had already been started because we are including a file, and in it we have used the session start function, and also in the index.php we have the session start. That's why this error. So let us remove this from the home.php because we already are using session in index.php. So hopefully this notice will go, and it has gone. So this value now is coming from the session which we have set up in which file, sessions.php. Now for example, if I inspect application cookies, this is a session and it has just this value. Okay, and on the server there will be a text file. There will be a text file with something like php and php session underscore some this id. So server will know that the second request is coming from this browser where the cookie has been set. So it will search for that file there on the server, and it will find the username variable there and display it. Okay, so for example, now if I delete it, if you might have seen, if you clear your caches, browser caches, you are logged out from Facebook or whatever application you are on, okay, because it has set cookies, and if you clear that cookie, that file has gone from your browser. Okay, so what do you expect if I refresh the page?
Yes. Yes.
Good, welcome guest, because now the request went to server and server didn't recognize this request, so it didn't fetch any data from that session, and that session has been sort of destroyed. Not destroyed, but actually yes, destroyed, because we have removed the cookie. But if I access sessions.php again, sessions.php, so again the cookie has been created, and if I refresh the page, now it is Mr. Martin again. Got it? So if cookie is deleted from your browser, you are logged out, because the next request is not about that old session. So that's the concept. Now if we what's the advantage of it, we will check that in the registration and login concept we have. So now to demo all this, let us first create a registration page so that users can sign up on our website, on our blog. And basically we have a table in the database. We already have created the users table, so a sign up form or a register form basically adds those users to that particular table. So we have a table for users. It is right now empty, but if you go to the structure of it, so it has UID, name, username, email, password, status, and date. So UID is auto increment, so we don't need to enter this ID, but the rest of the fields we need to enter: the name, username, email, password, status. Status means whether the user will be active or not. So for now we will by default make it 1, so that the user who registers is active, and this is the date, which will be the PHP time function value, which will save it in the Unix timestamp format. So I already have created a form, so to save some time, basic HTML form for name, username, email, password. Let me just show you. So if I have created a page register.php, and this is just blank document at the moment, and I will paste the form code from another file which I have already created to save some time. Let me quickly copy it and go to the register.php and paste this form over here. Okay, so let me just quickly explain. The form has a method of post, because registration form should save data to the database, and to save data we need post method, and then the action, which is register.php, or even if I leave it blank, it will be submitting itself to the register.php page. So we have a name, it's of type text. Similarly, we have username, then we have email, and then we have password, and type of password is type is equal to password. Okay, so it's not visible, and then we have the submit button. So if I just preview the register.php file, probably we need to save it first. Okay, so if I just just ignore these notices because I am outputting values in it so that they are preserved. Right now it is name, username, email and password. So if we click on the register, it should save it into the this table. So in the register.php I am outputting the value for print email, for email, print username and print name. So let us create these variables at the top first, and we will default them with empty strings. So let me copy it from the code I already have, and we also need database connection, so I'm going to quickly copy that as well. So we require the database connection. The name is empty, by default the username is empty, email is empty, the status is 1 because we want it to be always published, and the time is for now empty, but and we have an errors array as well so that we can catch the different errors if any of these fields are left empty. I already have written this code to save time, so I will now copy this code line by line. If $server request method is equal to post, this means if the form has been submitted. So here we will be doing all this code inside this if statement. So if the register form has been submitted, we need to catch values and also do some validations and keep the error messages inside the errors array. So let me copy that as well. If is set name So if is set post name, what does this mean? If this name value has been set on the server, so here it is set, we will be having our own code text in it, but it says if is set post name. So if there is the name post key and if it is empty, we should add that to the errors array. Otherwise we will take the post name and save it in the name variable. So this variable, which actually was empty initially, now will have this post value. So whatever we type here, this name, it will actually be inside this name variable then. Similarly, let me quickly copy all the other values also. If is set post username, and the username, if the username is empty, so we will add that into errors, and we will assign the value of username to the username variable, which is already declared here. Similarly, the email value in the form. So if is set post email, and if the email is empty, we will have it inside the errors array. Otherwise, also if it has a value, then we will assign that to the email variable, which we already have assigned here. Similarly, if you have a password, so if we have password and if it is empty, we will save the error to the errors array and save the password inside whatever the user types. So for example, if the user types 1 2 3 4 5 6, look at these dots, because we have made the text type password, that's why these are not visible. But there is one difference from the rest of the values for passwords, and let me comment this line first. So I will just explain it briefly in a while. Okay, so if the password is set, the post password value is being saved in the password variable, and the next step is, as I said in the articles edition page as well, we should have a variable insert or something like this, a boolean value. So let me quickly copy this as well, this code, and paste it after the password, this one. Okay, so we have a variable insert is equal to false, so that we can check it in order to add entries into the database. If all the values in the errors array are empty, so we can find that with if count errors is equal to 0, then insert becomes true. It means that we can then add to the database, and then we are ifing through the insert, we are checking the value of insert. If it is true, then we enter all the values in the database. And the way we do it is via insert query. So PDO, we already have a connection here, including the connection. So here we are using PDO prepare statement, insert into the user's name, username, email, password, status and date. It should be in the order from the database. So username, email, password, status and date. So these are all the column names in the database. What are the values? These are the placeholders: name, username, email, password, status and date. The next, we create a params array which we will pass to the PDO, the query execute, this one. So this is an associative array, so that these values are safely entered into a database. So the placeholder column name, and it is name, whatever is the variable in the name here. So the value of name will be inserted here. Similarly, username is username, email is email, password is password, status is status, which is 1 at the moment, and date is time, so that whatever is the current time as per the time function in the Unix timestamp format, that will be the date. One mistake, and I pardon for that, I have made in article add article. I have used the SQL commas, and we don't need to do it. This execute params method will do it automatically for us when we are using the columns, the placeholders. So if I go to the add article, and this is that mistake I am talking about. Here I am also setting up the params with these single quotes, so let me remove them. We don't need it actually. Okay, so let me go back to the register form, and probably the registration form now is ready. We just need to execute the query params. This, whatever the prepare statement returns, is a variable and an object in itself, and it has a method called execute. We pass this array to it. You can directly make an array and pass elements here, but it's easier to read, so probably you just need to create an array of the placeholders with their actual values then, and all of this will be sanitized for you automatically for security purposes, thanks to PDO. Also, so we just execute it, and if you need to get the last registration ID, you can use this function like we have done in the article. So the last ID is this, and then we are header location this to the after register. I have created another page, after register.php. This is the after register.php, and right now it is just saying thank you, you are registered. Okay, so once the registration is complete, data is entered into the database. We are going to the after register, and after headers we should use exit, so that the rest of the code is not run if it is redirecting you to some other page. So, and also in the value, as to preserve values, if there are errors in the form, we are outputting the variables we have defined. So in the name, the value is name. In the username, the value is username, and in the email, the value is email variable. We have left it the password empty so that we can re-enter the password all the time, but these are just for preserving the form values in case there are errors in the form. So let us try the register now if it works. I will go to register.php, just refresh the page. Okay, so it is Afaq, username is Afaq, name is Afaq, and username is Afaq, email is afaq@drupal.com, and password is 123456 or something like this. So if you click on the register, it says thank you, you are registered, and it takes us to the registration page, sorry, the thank you page. And let us check if things are fine in the database. If I browse the users table now, so it has all the values in it: name, username, email, password, status 1 because we have hard coded it, and the date when it was inserted. So things are working fine, but we should not have passwords like this in the database. If some malicious user gets access to the database, he can easily see the passwords. So they should always be either hashed or encrypted, and they should be one way encryption or hashing so that they are not guessed easily. For this there are a lot of functions, but the most secure one these days is password hash PHP. If you go to its documentation, password underscore hash, and it has a password default constant which we will be using shortly, but the way it is used is you have to use this function and then the actual password, whatever is your password, and this is the second parameter is the constant password default. So what it will output is some key like this, and it will be and we should save such a key into the database so that even if somebody gets access to the database table of for users, they are not able to decrypt the password. So let us do that now. We will be using password underscore hash function, and if you remember, I just commented out a line in the password variable. So the password actually right now is whatever user enters, the password is this, but then what we can do is we will use the password underscore hash function for this password whatever the user has entered, and the second parameter is password underscore default. So this password then will be, we are reassigning the password variable, so it will hash the original one and save the hashed version into the database. So let me quickly create another. This is just one line of code: password hash, the password which is supplied by the user, and just the constant password underscore default. So whatever is the hashing algorithm at a particular stage of this function, so it will be using that default version. So let me now create another user, and we will do it by using the register.php page. So Wasim Khan, and username is Wasim Khan, and password email is Wasim Khan@drupal.com, and password is 123456, and register, and it again takes us to the thank you page. Now if we check the database table for users, so you can see a new entry has been made, and the password here is encrypted, this one. So now the password is saved in the encrypted or hashed format, and this is what we achieved via the password underscore hash function. Now the next step is to create because the registration process is now complete, we now need to have a login form so that when a user queries this table, so we will query it by email, for example, and password. If the we will check in the login form, if somebody submits, for example, wasimkhan@drupak.com is email and the password he entered while he was registering. So we will fetch the records from this table, the register table, and see if the email exists. So if it exists, it will return the whole row and this will be the password. We will be then using another function which is known as password verify, which will check the entered password against this, and if it gets verified, we'll log the user in. And let us do that first now. Okay, so I will create a page, login.php, and inside the login.php we should have a form. So I have already done that so that we can save some time, and this is the very simple bare bone form. In login.php we will just put that. So what it is a form of so login forms actually is nothing but just a normal form, method post, and then it has a label of email, input is email, and the type is text. We can have it as email also, just to get things validated easily via HTML5. But for now let us keep it as it is, and then we have password, which is of type password. So let me just quickly visit the login page, how it seems at the moment. Login.php. Okay, so this is that form, the email and password. So what we need to check is, if I enter wasimkhan@gmail.com or drupak.com and a password, it should check this register table, the users table, if the email if a record with the same email exists. If it exists, we will use the password verify function. So let's quickly do that. I'll go to login.php. I already have some code written. So because we are dealing with database connection, to save time, I will just copy this code. So at the top of the page, we will have a PHP opening and closing. So we are requiring the database because we are going to get a connection to the database and query this register the users table. The next step is, again, if we need some error handling, so we have this variable for errors, and everything once the form is submitted should be dealt inside this request method is equal to post. This means the form has been submitted. So let me quickly do that like this. Okay, so all our code will go inside if the request method is equal to post. It means the form has been submitted, the login has been clicked. It means this. Okay, now if I copy some text, just like other values we had in the register, I will just copy the email part. So if it is set post email and email is not empty, if it is empty, so we will add the error to this array. But if it is not empty, the value of user email will be email. So for example, if we I type Wasim Khan @drupak.com, so this is what the variable will have then. Similarly, I will copy this for password, and similarly, if the password is left empty, we will add it to the errors array. Otherwise, the password will be the whatever user has entered here. Okay, the next step is, now we have both the values from the form, the login form. So we will prepare the statement just like and it is going to be a select query, not insert one, because insert was only for registration purpose. Now we are going to fetch results. So whatever is the email, we will check if that email is there. So select all from users where email is equal to whatever the user enters, and this is a placeholder, and we are executing the query with this email just like previously we did. So PDO prepare select all from users where email is equal to email placeholder, and here in the array we can have a separate params array here, but because this is just one value, so we can quickly add an array directly to the execute function method. And the email, it means this placeholder is actually the email variable, which is this we are getting from the post email. Okay, so once this is executed, we will have to run to get the records. We need just one record, because in a database we should technically not be letting people re-enter the same email again and again. So by default there will be just one email. For that purpose we just need to not use fetch all, but we should use fetch, so that only one record is returned, and it should be in the PDO fetch assoc format. So it's in an associative array. This is that record now. So it means the record will have we don't need to loop through the records, because it already is having one value. Okay, that's the magic part here. Now I'll just copy this line of code quickly and explain it. Okay, this is the another function which is used in conjunction with password underscore hash function, which is password verify, and it is pass the actual password which you had used and the one we are getting from the database. So this password is the one typed by the user in the login form, and this one is the one we have got in the form of encrypted format based on this query of. So whatever is the username, the email entered by the user in the login form, it is checked in the database and it fetches all the records. So one of the records is column is password, and it is in the hashed format. So if password underscore verify, if this user entered password is equal to the one in hash format in the database, it compares it. If it is the same, then we can echo. For now let us just echo user verified. Otherwise we can echo incorrect credentials or user doesn't exist, something like this. Okay, so let me try now. We are fetching one record. Let me just repeat, we are fetching one record, and that record has the encrypted password. So if the one entered by the user is verified via this function, if both of them match, then we will be meaning that the user is verified, otherwise incorrect credentials. So for example, if I just reload the page, Wasim Khan at drupak.com, the password is 123456 and login. So it says user is verified. It means both are matching. But if I give it again and give incorrect password, so it says incorrect credentials of user doesn't exist. So what this means? This means that now we have a login system in place which we can utilize. So rather than directly echoing out the message, what we can do is we can create a session variable, $_ session, and this is where we need session variables. Once the user is logged in, we will have a variable called is logged in, and we will make it true. So in this key of the session array, we are saving a boolean value true. So it means if the password and the user the database password match, this value will be set up. But in order to use sessions, we always need to have session_start at the top of the page. Only then we can use sessions. So here we have set up this is logged in true. Also we can have $_session, and we can make it user name is equal to username is equal to this records has the username key as well. So $records username, this is coming from the database. So whatever is the logged in user's username, that will be saved in this session username. And we should use HTML special cars function so that it is safe to be used. Maybe if it ever contains any malicious code, first you will never have to let people use malicious strings inside your usernames. But if for some reasons in the database, because of some hacking or whatever, if there are any such characters, so this function will remove those from the output of that. So we have now two variables inside the session array. One is logged in, another one is username. We can also have the user ID inside the session. So for example, for some reasons if we need that ID, so we can make it UID is equal to UID. But this is just a number, we don't need it, but if in case, just safe to use HTML special cars here as well. So the UID of the logged in user will also be saved in the session. And if this is not and if we come to the else, rather than using incorrect credentials, or let us leave it like this, but we can also use either as per our business logic any code inside this. Okay, now in the home page, if you remember home.php in the includes, we have a welcome print session username, otherwise guest. So if the user logs in, we need to check if that exists. So if the session username exists, it will welcome that username, otherwise he will be called a guest. So now let me quickly log in again. Rupak.com 1 2 3 4 5 6 login. It means we have successfully logged in, because there is we haven't yet or let us quickly use a redirect in the login form to the home page. So once all of this is set, we will call the header function, and the header function is location : and where we want the user to get redirected to the home page. So it is index.php page is equal to, or maybe index.php just, and we will exit the code so that none of the code after this runs. So header index.php. Let us quickly try that again. Rupak.com 1 2 3 4 5 6 and login. So it redirects us to the home page, and we have wasimkhan.com Wasim Khan here because it's now the logged in user, and this code in the home.php is where it is taking its value from, the session username. So the session was defined in the login page, but it is now accessible on the home page or index page as well, because we have used session underscore start at the top of the index page as well. Hope this is clear now. One thing, I'm able to see double slashes here, so maybe the redirect has some bug in it. If I go to login.php again, and maybe we need to make it something like this. If I retry it, now it's okay. Okay, now we are logging in. One of the ways to log out is to delete the application, this cookie. So if I clear it and refresh the page, it will be guessed again because now we have logged out, and I will have to re-log in so that we can display this message or do whatever we want with the logged in users. Another way is to create a logout page. So we will quickly create a page and call it logout.php, and here we will just be using some code. One of that is unset $_session. So it will unset all the session variables. Also, we can use another function which is session underscore destroy, like this. So we now just need to access this page, and it will log us out of the application. Just we will need to run logout.php. One thing, and here again we need to have session underscore start used here. Okay, if we check session underscore destroy php, session destroy php, this is the manual. One of them, note this will destroy the session and not just the session data. So it's always advised to use this also, this code also. So maybe if we can, it will if we can quickly use that code as well before the session destroy, so it will make sure that really all the values are deleted from the session. It actually will study set cookie as well, so it makes the cookie deleted by setting the time to some past value, but we can for now just copy this code and use it as it is, and at the end we should use session underscore destroy as well as the function states. So this will really make sure that the session gets destroyed. Now let us try how it works. Initially I need to log in because we logged out a while ago. So if I go to the login.php again, and Wasim Khan and 1 2 3 4 5 6, so we are redirected to the index page and Wasim Khan is here. We will leave it here and you go to logout.php, logout.php. right now it says nothing. Maybe if we can at the end of the page, for now just echo you are logged out. And if I go to the home page now, so we are logged out again. So I didn't have to manually delete the cookie setup in the browser, and this code made sure that the cookies also get deleted. Now the whole concept for this login thing was that we need to control access to certain pages. So for example, if you go to add article page now, add article, and the path is index.php question mark page is equal to add article. Probably I already have used that code, so insert dot let me just quickly check why is it happening. Okay, just need to save it. Okay, so slash add article, this is the add article page, and we can go to it from the index page as well, like this. So this is the same add article page. So now anybody, we are even logged out, we can access it, but I want to restrict this so that only the logged in users can check it. For that purpose we need to write some code at the top of the page here in the add article section here. So for example, I want only the logged in users, those who have their session is logged in is equal to true. We will create an if statement like this, and if is set $_session and is logged in. If you remember, we have defined a variable is logged in. So if is set session is logged in and $session if it is set and it is if is set this and this is equal to true, or we can even leave it like this, and session logged in. So what does this code mean? This means that if the session is having this key setup and the value is true, then do something, otherwise do something else. So we can negate this. If is set session this, and so if we go to the login page, we have all these values set here. If somebody logs in, it means these values would have been set up for us. So what we are going to do here is we are just checking against those values now in the session. And as I said, if you need to have the session variables count, so we should have start here, but we are already including it in the page index.php. so here in index.php we already have used the session start, so we don't need to. Okay, so if we negate the condition, if not is set, and if it is not set and session is not true, then what we can do is header, and the location is slash login.php, and we will exit the code. So if not is set session is logged in, if that is not set up, and we can easily do not is session logged in, if that is false, for example, if it's true it will be false, and if that is false we can redirect to the login page and exit, so this page won't be then accessible. So let us try. If you refresh the page, it takes us to the login page, and if I log in now, and so now we are logged in, and if I re-access the page, now I am able to access it, the same page. So this way you can make access to pages based on the session variables. We have to use this everywhere where we need to. So it is a very good candidate for, I will just copy this code here and create a functions in functions.php, and here we'll create a function and call it is logged in, like this. So is logged in means we need to have an if here, or quickly return is set session this, and so if is set this session logged in ID and the session is logged in is equal to true, so it will return that. So if both are set, both are true with the end, it means it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So now we can use this is logged in function everywhere we need the login. So I will go back to the add article page, and we should include the functions. We are including the function already, and rather than now this function, this whole code, we can just use is logged in function like this. And if it returns true, and if it returns false, we can negate it. So here now the same code will be running. Hopefully the page is getting accessed, but if I in another browser tab, if I use the logout link now, logout, and refresh the page, so now we are being redirected to the login page. So that's all for today. We have learned a lot in it, and we will improve on this login code and registration code as we move on. But for now, if we have to restrict access to pages for logged in users only, we now need to just include a functions page in that page, and then use this is logged in function. It will check if the user is logged in or not, and we can just redirect to the login form if we need to. So thank you very much. See you tomorrow.